Hey everyone, welcome back to Cruising with Matthew, and today I'm going to give you a ship tour of Fred Olsen's Balmoral, which I was lucky enough to sail on during a 4-night press trip down the River Seine in September 2022, so I really hope you enjoy this video. Balmoral is one of the smallest ships in the Fred Olsen fleet, weighing in at 43,000 tonnes with a passenger capacity of 1,300 passengers, making her the smallest cruise ship I've ever sailed on. She's also the oldest, originally being constructed in 1987 at the Meerwerft shipyard in Papenburg, Germany, making her 10 years older than me. Now, although she is quite old by cruise ship standards, this ship is incredibly well maintained, and due to her age, she is full of character that modern cruise ships simply don't have, and this results in a ship that really feels unique, traditional and homely. So let's take a look around. Now, decks 3, 4 and 5 consist of passenger cabins, as does the majority of deck 6. However, at the very aft of this deck, we find the first of 3 main dining rooms on board Balmoral, Balmoral. Now, this offers breakfast, lunch and dinner, and at breakfast and lunch you have the opportunity to enjoy an a la carte menu or a buffet option, and this is really useful as some people might want to eat quickly because they want to get on with their day, whereas people like myself and Yeyan want to have a more relaxed meal. At dinner, however, you are allocated to either first or second sitting, which is at 6:15 and 8:30 respectively, where you can enjoy a full sit-down dinner. Moving away from the restaurant, you walk through a wonderful walkway which shows a variety of paintings of the restaurant's namesake, Balmoral Castle in Scotland. This is a really nice touch and really helps showcase the history which has influenced the naming of various areas around Balmoral. Not far from this walkway, there's also a flower shop, so if you want to celebrate a special occasion or surprise a loved one, this is the place to go. Nearby, there's also the photo gallery. This offers opportunity to purchase photos which have been taken during the cruise. Now, this was one area that I was a little disappointed in because Fred Olsen still print out all their photos, and I find that quite wasteful as not everyone wants to buy them. So instead, I wish that Fred Olsen would revert to computers which allow you to search for your photos and then you can print out the ones that you want at your request, because I think it would be a lot less wasteful. Now, as we move further midships, we encounter Balmoral's 2-tiered atrium, and although this is the smallest atrium I've seen, I really enjoyed this space because it features a large amount of highly polished brass, which isn't something that I've seen in a modern cruise ship's atrium, but it helped give a really homely and traditional atmosphere when you walk on board for the first time. On the first level, deck 6, there's guest services, which is your port of call if you have any questions or need any advice throughout your cruise. Nearby, there's also destination services if you're looking to arrange any excursions throughout your cruise. Adjacent to the guest and destination services, you have the port shop, which is a small but well-stocked shop featuring a variety of Fred Olsen branded souvenirs, as well as sweets and treats, as well as a range of essentials that you might have forgotten before getting on the ship. In this area, there's also the Oriental Tea Room. This is a staple on Fred Olsen's ships and features a variety of specialty teas from places such as China, Taiwan and Japan, and they also include more common British favourites such as Earl Grey. This was an area that I'd have loved to have tried, but sadly we didn't have enough time during this cruise. Now, if we move up the staircase, we find ourselves on deck 7, which is the second level of the atrium, and this area is surrounded by a variety of shops offering a multitude of options if you fancy some retail therapy. Moving away from the atrium and at the very front of deck 7, there's the Neptune Lounge, which is Balmoral's show lounge. Now, this is probably the biggest difference from other cruise ships that I've been on, as due to Balmoral's smaller size, she doesn't feature a traditional theatre. Instead, she offers a multi-purpose show lounge. By day, this venue hosted a plethora of events, ranging from insightful port talks or even classical piano recitals inspired by the ports that we were visiting during our cruise. By night, however, we got to enjoy a range of entertainment options including comedians, singers and the talented Balmoral Theatre Company. Although they had a smaller space to work with, the talent and skill of the company were just as impressive as any other theatre company I've seen, and I really enjoyed the shows they had on offer, especially Ministry of Sound. Now, if we go back on ourselves and walk past the atrium, you'll encounter the Future Cruise sales team. Now this is the place to go if you want to book your next cruise whilst on board, and as tempting as this is, I've managed to resist so far. Nearby, there's also a full-scale model of Balmoral in her old Fred Olsen livery, which I absolutely loved. I would love to take it home, although it was a little bit big, and I feel like someone might have noticed. Moving further back, there is the card room, which, as the name suggests, is a dedicated spot for people wanting to play cards, board games, and jigsaws with your fellow passengers. I believe this can also be turned into a function room if you want to hold an event on the ship as well. Directly adjacent to the card room is the Bookmark Cafe. Now this is the perfect place to relax with a hot drink and take in the sea views from one of the many large picture windows in this area. They serve a range of hot drinks here, and you can even buy some chocolates or cakes to enjoy with them too. The Bookmark Cafe also features a small but well-stocked library and also a board games area, meaning that there's plenty of spaces that you can relax with family or friends and be kept occupied, especially during Balmoral's longer cruises. Moving further aft, there's the Morning Light pub. Now this was always a popular venue during our cruise. The venue offered a number of entertainment options such as quizzes and bingo, and there was always live music going on throughout the day. So if you're a fan of a pub, this is definitely the place to go on Balmoral. At the very aft of the ship on this deck, there is the Palms Cafe. Now this is Balmoral's buffet style restaurant. This is a great spot if you're wanting to eat something quickly before going off ashore and you don't fancy eating in one of the main dining rooms. Now near the back of Palms Cafe, there's Scoops Ice Cream, which offers, you guessed it, ice cream throughout the day. These are extra charged, but I'm sure these would be a tempting option when Balmoral is exploring destinations in hotter climates. The back of the Palms Cafe also transforms in an evening into Vasco, which is a Goan-inspired speciality restaurant. This, in addition to the other speciality restaurant, Colours and Tastes, costs £10 if booked prior to the cruise, and if you book it on board, it will cost slightly more at £15 per person. This is incredible value for an extra charge restaurant on a cruise ship. Now, Fred Olsen gifted us the opportunity to dine in both of these restaurants. As for Vasco, the food tasted so good, and they were served by passionate waiters who really wanted to showcase their home country's cuisine, which felt really special. The portion sizes, whilst delicious, are quite big, so I'd recommend that you have a light lunch on the day you visit Vasco, as you certainly won't be hungry after eating there. If you walk out of the Palms Cafe, you encounter the wonderful aft pool area of Balmoral. This features a good sized pool as well as 2 hot tubs with numerous sunbeds around. This area is surrounded by a stunning tiered stern which runs all the way from deck 7 to 11 and has to be my favourite design feature of Balmoral, as it gives you tons of open deck space to relax and watch the world pass by. It's a real rarity on modern day cruise ships, so if you're on board Balmoral, I'd urge you to make the most of it. A personal highlight is the fact that on some of the levels they have heat lamps, so it means that even if it's a little bit chilly during the evening or if the weather isn't great, you can still sit out wrapped up and watch as the scenery passes you by, which we did as we were sailing up the River Seine at night. So it's a really special and unique spot on Balmoral. Balmoral also features a full wraparound promenade deck, which is another fabulous addition to this ship, as I love being able to wander around the ship throughout the day and night and take in the views on offer. I also love the fact that you could look directly over the bow of the ship, and if you looked up behind you, you could see the bridge, and this isn't something you often get to see, so I was really impressed with this space. The promenade can get a little narrow in places as there's a fair bit of lifeboat machinery dotted around the place, but it is still a really nice space. There's also these quirky little bits of deck which jut out right to the edge of the ship that can be the perfect spot for some photos. Now if we move up to deck 8, at the very aft of the ship, there is the Lido Lounge. This was another popular spot on Balmoral, as throughout the day there was a number of quizzes, live music performers, even cookery demonstrations, and in an evening there was live music performers, karaoke, as well as a late night DJ here. There's also a few TVs set up, so if you're wanting to catch up on the latest football events during your cruise, you can do this, but a real gem is the very back of the Lido Lounge, which is completely glass fronted, offering you stunning after views as the ship sails from A to B. This is a really good spot to sit if the ship is scenic cruising and the weather isn't good enough to sit out on deck, and this is what we did as the ship approached Honfleur because it was absolutely pouring it down. Now, off to one side of the Lido Lounge is Colours and Tastes, which is the other specialty restaurant on board Balmoral. This explores the taste of Asia and costs the same as Vasco, and like Vasco, the service here was attentive and the food was really high quality. It really felt like I was getting the opportunity to try a variety of Asian dishes that I wouldn't normally try at home, so I've really enjoyed this culinary experience. Now moving up to Deck 9, this deck only features cabins. Deck 9 also featured our wonderful balcony cabin, which we absolutely loved during our cruise. However, I'll do a full in-depth cabin tour in a future video, so watch this space. I was also given the opportunity to explore a range of other cabin options on board Balmoral during our cruise, so I'll be sure to post separate videos of them in the near future. Deck 9 also features one of the laundry rooms on Balmoral, where you can wash, dry and iron your clothes, and this is free of charge. Now moving up to Deck 10 and the very forward part of the ship, we encounter the Atlantis Spa. Now this is perfect for anyone wanting to be pampered, as there's a range of treatments and massages to suit anyone. Within this area there's also a salon if you fancy getting your hair done, a manicure, pedicure and things like that. There's also a fitness centre on board, although it is quite small due to the small size of the ship, and tends to feature things like treadmills rather than the big gym machines that you see on more modern ships, so something to keep in mind. Now if we move right to the aft of the ship, as the rest of the area is made up of cabins, there is the other two main dining restaurants, Avon and Spey. These offer, like Balindaloch, a split buffet and a la carte menu for breakfast and lunch, and you also get the formal sit-down meal with a first and second sitting dinner in the evening. The food was always good quality here, so I was never left feeling hungry. And this tended to be our port of call for breakfast and lunch, as there was the opportunity to enjoy a wonderful alfresco breakfast or lunch during the day, as you got to dine looking over the tiered stern and the wake of the ship. And this was a really special moment, and I kept pinching myself that we were able to enjoy such lovely food in stunning surroundings, so I'd recommend that you sit here if the weather is good enough. Moving up to the highest deck on Balmoral, Deck 11, at the very aft of the ship there's a large amount of deck space which gives you the opportunity to play in the golfing nets nearby, as well as deck quoits, whilst the whole area is dominated by Balmoral's iconic funnel, proudly displaying the Fred Olsen logo. I really enjoy the deck space in this area, as it offers some fantastic vantage points looking down the ship. Do note, this does mean however that some of the balcony cabins, especially on Deck 10, can be overlooked, so just something to be considerate of. Moving midships, there is another swimming pool with a multitude of deck chairs and also 2 hot tubs nearby. I also enjoyed the number of sofas and tables here as well, so I imagine this would be the perfect place to relax when Balmoral is sailing in warmer climes, and I could just imagine drinking a cocktail here. In front of the pool there is the indoor marquee bar, and this is the perfect spot for anyone wanting to grab a drink on the pool deck. It's a wonderful little space with more of those comfortable sofas and offers some fantastic views. Moving to the very front of the ship, we encounter the Observatory, and this has to be my favourite bar on board Balmoral, as it offers stunning views out to sea. During the day, it's a fantastic place to sit back and relax, catching up with friends or reading a book. It's also, on sea days, the site of Balmoral's extra charge traditional premium afternoon tea. Now this costs £12 per person and was kindly gifted to us, and is a really civilised affair, as you get to enjoy a wonderful range of sandwiches, cakes and scones whilst taking in the sea views as a group of musicians play. It was a real highlight of our first sea day, and they also did a fantastic selection of dairy-free food for Yayan as well, so we both really enjoyed this. This being said, the area really comes into its own in an evening, where it becomes a popular place to enjoy some pre or post dinner drinks, and there's nearly always some live music playing here as well. There was also some occasional special events going on here. For instance, on one of our nights we got to enjoy Shaken Not Stirred, which, as you can guess, was a James Bond themed event where they highlighted some of the martinis they had on offer which you could buy, whilst you were also listening to the singers of the Balmoral Theatre Company perform Bond classics such as Goldfinger and Skyfall, and this was something I wasn't expecting and I really enjoyed it. And just like that, we've explored all the areas on board Fred Olsen's Balmoral. Now, although we were only on board for a short period of time, I felt completely at home on board Balmoral, being greeted by kind and friendly staff wherever we went, remembering your favourite drinks and also remembering what our names were, and as a result I just felt completely relaxed and at home. Balmoral offers a traditional way to explore the world, with ample opportunities to take in wonderful views as you sail to ports that other ships simply can't fit into. The fact that we were able to sail up the River Seine was absolutely incredible, and I wasn't even aware that a cruise ship could even do this. I thought that was reserved exclusively for river cruise ships. Thank you so much to Fred Olsen for gifting me this trip, and I hope I've given you all an idea as to what you can expect on board this fabulous ship. If you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe because it's always appreciated. And if you have any questions, comment below and I'll do my best to answer them. I hope that you're all doing well at the moment, and I can't wait to see you in my next video. So until next time, this is Cruising with Matthew, and thank you so much for watching.